Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko tēnei tāku mihi ki ngā tangata whenua o te rohe nei, ko Marona James tōku ingoa, ka mihi oki au ki ngā tohu o te rohe nei, nō reira tēnā koutou katoa. Ka ino e tātou, whakatake te hau ki te uru, whakatake te hau ki te tonga, kia mākina kina ki uta, kia mātaratara ki tai, e hiaki ana te a tākura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, tihei mauri o rā. Aotearoa New Zealand 2021, we live in a time of great change, challenges and transformation. Kia ora, and welcome to this online event as part of Mental Health Awareness Week 2021. The theme of this week is about connecting with people in our lives and taking the time to kōrero. Mā te kōrero, ka ora. A little chat can go a long way. During this online event, we'll see and hear creative expressions of writing, art and music. The landscape of Aotearoa New Zealand is changing, and as Gandhi put it, we need to be courageous enough to be the change that we want to see in the outcomes of what we do and how we live. So it's my hope that we get behind this kaupapa of connecting with our whānau, our family and communities for a kōrero for better mental health and well-being. So on behalf of the team behind this online event and myself, have an awesome day, and remember to reach out and connect with those people in your lives for a kōrero, and mā te wā.
Hey management team, I would like to take the time to really appreciate the support that I received from these two individuals. Vanessa was an excellent sounding board and we always seemed to be fighting fires, but she took it in her stride and freely gave advice based on personal experience and gave examples of how certain techniques helped her. This was very reassuring, and most of the time I was able to employ these techniques and make it through. On one occasion, I felt comfortable enough to admit to her my plan for suicide, and she immediately jumped into action and stayed with me at the hospital in ED well past knock-off time. I wasn't comfortable telling London Street, but had formed the type of professional bond with Vanessa that I could be open and honest. Jackie has been marvellous since taking over from Vanessa. She has got me onto the Metamia app, which has made such a huge difference. Being able to check in and look back at trends. The daily insights are excellent, and I regularly check in most days with the daily activities and articles. Jackie has also really got me thinking about the different negative thinking styles and working on my weaknesses. In addition to this, she has given me the problem-solving solution for unexpected events, like financial worries, and also encouraged me in my weight loss journey, helping me celebrate wins. Also on this, she has helped me work out a goodie bag, well, a list, for me. I dip into her for small and large rewards and for when I'm low in mood and need a booster. I also had a suicide plan which I told Jackie about. Because she had nurtured a caring, open professional bond, she put in place what I needed and dealt with the situation perfectly. Some of the stuff I've dealt with in the past have been ho-hum, but Vanessa gave me fighting tools for hope, and Jackie has gone to the roots of my problems and helped me address them, while linking me to useful apps. I feel like I've come a long way in the past year or so, not because of help from London Street, but because these two in their own way opened me up and fostered a professional relationship that enabled me to talk openly about what was going on for me. I sincerely owe them both my life. They have given me so much hope for the future that I'm studying to be like them and fight for people's hopes, dreams and aspirations. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Hi, I'm Ray from Press Go. Today we're going to talk about using the model by Sir Mason Jury that was created in 1984 around the Te Whare Tapawha and the cornerstones of a wharanui. When we look at mental health in the workplace, we look at things that can quite often go wrong. But there's a lot of things we can do to help our staff before they go wrong. One of them is looking at the taha wairua, so our spiritual well-being. A lot of people, when we talk about spiritual, will think about religion, but this goes much further than the religion. It's that, if you have it, or greater well-being, or it might also be things that just help keep us grounded. So things like allowing music to be played in the workplace, encouraging laughter, and practicing gratitude, doing something nice for each other in the workplace, doing even things like team meditations before your meetings, just a couple of minutes just to slow things down and help keep us grounded. Another area of the model is our taha henenaro, so our mental and our emotional well-being. Now this helps us deal with things in our heart and our thoughts and our feelings, and little things like that important question, how are you? But how are you really doing? So stopping to listen to their answer. It's allowing our team to feel and talk about how they're feeling without us being uncomfortable. We monitor our workloads of our team and have check-ins, regular check-ins, to see how they're going to avoid burnout with our teams. If we look at our taha tinana, that's our physical side. So it's not getting out there in work time and being crazy, running around a field or anything. It's just getting back to nature. That, again, another thing that helps ground us, but also looking at our body so that that's more in balance, because when our body's not right, if we're not fueling it right, we're out of sorts. And all of this impacts on our ability to complete our tasks and be happy and healthy at work. So a couple of things you could do is having your meetings outside once in a while. We can encourage good eating habits. So that might be not allowing eating at desks. It might be making the team all have their breaks, taking their breaks outside, encouraging that, having a place where they can take their breaks outside. And it might even be something like subsidising their membership fees. It might be their golf membership. It might be their, not necessarily a gym, it's even a club of some sort that just gets them out and about with nature, that helps them look after their physical. The taha whānau is our family and social. So we spend a lot of time at work, right? So we want to make sure that we're allowing those things to happen, that support network that comes from whānau to actually blossom, I guess, in a lot of ways. So we're just little things like allowing discussions to happen that are about things outside of work. Not extensively, of course, that's on the time, but it's not having the staff feeling like they can't talk about something, because if something's bothering them, they need to get it out. It's asking your team how their whānau are, and actually really genuinely listening to the answers and getting a feel for what's happening in their lives. And also being flexible for them to take time off so they can spend with their whānau without guilt. So for special events for their children, or it might be appointments or things like that. And the last part, of course, is our whenua, our land, our belonging, and our foundations. So that's things like providing loyalty and stability for your employees. It's having their back, letting them know that you've got their back, and even things like providing training to set them up for success so that they actually feel equipped and go into their jobs with confidence. So that's just a few tips just to help balance the things with your team. There's plenty more things you can do out there, and make sure you actually take time to do some of those things for yourself. Hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Kia ora tātou. For Mental Health Awareness Week, we decided to support an art initiative, and that was related to Blue September. It also gave us time to kōrero about men's health, physical health, as well as mental health. We hosted a morning tea with a blue theme to encourage our whaiora to participate in the art activity. The following is an art exhibition virtually of all the artworks that were created by our whaiora in support of the Prostate Cancer Foundation of New Zealand. Thank you for watching.
Tēnā tātou e te whānau, he puku pānui ki a koutou. Welcome whānau, and welcome to the third day of Mental Health Week. Ko Sarah Te Pau ona he taku ingoa. I work for Merge Aotearoa. I am the Service Manager for Paul Crescent Adult Mental Health Services. Today I will be presenting Te Whare Tapawhā, model of care, and how the model has been effective for whaiora in our care. The process for the presentation today is I will begin by acknowledging Tā Mason-Juri with some history of how Te Whare Tapawhā was created. We will show you the Te Whare Tapawhā model presentation by the Māori Learner Success Services. We will hear also from Andre, one of our whaiora who reside at Paul Crescent Merge Aotearoa, and I will present how Te Whare Tapawhā is used with whaiora at Paul Crescent. And from there, we will end with the Te Whare Tapawhā poem. Okay, let's begin. Tā Mason-Juri described Te Ara Ahu Whakamua was subtitled The Māori Health Hui of the Decade, as it reflected 10 years of progress in which there had been remarkable progress where Te Whare Tapawhā was created. Te Whare Tapawhā was first created and thought of from a group of Māori health professionals led by Tā Mason-Juri. The model describes health and well-being as a whare nui, which is a meeting house with 4 walls. As Professor Mason-Juri described, these walls represent taha wairua, spiritual well-being, taha hinenaro, mental health and emotional well-being, taha tinana, the physical well-being, and taha whānau, family and social well-being. Our connection with the whenua and land sets and forms the foundation of the whare. When all things are in balance, we thrive. When one or more of these is out of balance, our well-being is impacted and affected. So let's begin. I would like now to share with you the Te Whare Tapawhā model of practice presented by the Māori Learner Success. Please be with me.
First, let's take a look at the Māori perspective of health and how it differs from the Western perspective on health. The Western perspective of health is based on a biomedical view and is the basis of most healthcare approaches in Aotearoa today. It focuses on identifying something that is wrong or abnormal, which leads to a diagnosis, which is like a label that is given to establish a problem that is causing ill health. The Māori perspective of health is much more broad. Māori view the well-being of an individual to be holistic, which is kind of like looking at the bigger picture. Both perspectives aim to understand how and why we feel the way we do. One Māori model of health is called Te Whare Tapawhā, the four walls of the house, which was developed by Sir Mason Drury. This model is becoming increasingly used in health and educational settings. This model uses a whare, or a house, to symbolize the four main areas of health, all of which are influential to our haora, or our well-being. Te Whare Tapawhā consists of te taha henenaro, our mental well-being, te taha tinana, our physical well-being, te taha whānau, our social well-being, and te taha wairua, our spiritual well-being, all of which contribute to our haora, our overall well-being. Let's take a closer look at the individual walls of our whare. Te taha tinana refers to our body. It is the physical health aspect of this model. This component is based on physical growth and development. The Māori concepts of tapu and noa are an important aspect of physical health. Tapu and noa are traditions and regulations that are followed in order to ensure the well-being of yourself and others. A violation of tapu can result in illness or injury. Tapu and noa are like the Western equivalent of health and safety regulations, but are understood in different ways. While tapu and noa keep Maori safe and well, they are based on spiritual concepts, tapu meaning sacred and noa meaning not sacred. This leads us on to te taha wairua, spiritual well-being. Spiritual health refers to the essence of a person, the unseen and unspoken energies that surround a person and make them who they are. This connects us to our drive, motivation, passions, and personal identity. Spiritual well-being can be enhanced when a person has faith, is connected to their environment and their culture. Spiritual well-being is strongly linked with a sense of belonging, which takes us to the next side of our whare, te taha whānau. This refers to our social well-being, that is, our sense of belonging, our capacity to care and connect with our family and our wider social networks. Social well-being allows people to have a strong support system and ensures connectedness and the knowledge that you are not alone. This highlights the importance of help and support, as well as positive relationships and the influence that these factors have on our well-being. Te taha henenaro, the fourth and final side of our whare, relates to our mind, or our mental health. It also conceptualizes our ability to express and communicate our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. For Māori, expressing and communicating emotions does not necessarily mean using words to speak about how they are feeling. Communicating through expression of emotion is valued and healthy. It is also about our view of ourselves and our place in the universe. Te whare tapawhā demonstrates the importance of all four aspects of our health and their reliance on each other.
Welcome back. Now you have seen what Te Whare Tapawhā represents. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Andre, who is a whai ora who resides at Port Crescent. Welcome, Andre.
Welcome, Sarah. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Andre. Thank you very much for coming here and speaking about your journey, and we are here to support you. Kia ora.
Thank you. My journey was a long one from when I was young. Didn't have much of a family background. I felt mentally unwell when I was very young. Drugs and smoking was a big factor in all that. Going through school, drifting, I finally found help through a hospital. They put me through to the right people, and from there I've just grown. I've been on many different kinds of drugs, and now I'm clean of those and hoping for a better future. Anything you would like to ask?
How was your journey through Emerge when you came to Port Crescent?
Port Crescent was probably the biggest part of my my wellness and getting well. They played a good part in being there for you with their mana, pride. I found a lot of it really helpful, like the friendship the bonds you make, friends you make. The staff are very, very excellent. I really highly thank them a lot, because it's like, I was off on my own, and they came up and helped me out. They gave me a chance. I've just recently got the act that I've been on for 30 years. Recently, I've started work and now hoping for a better future.
And look, Andre has had a great journey here, and he's really focused on his whole tinana and his wairua and his hinengaro. But what's really strong with Andre is his wairua, and I'd like him to share to the team and to everyone what that means to him.
What my wairua means to me, it means that I came from a young age to an older age in a matter of minutes, and if it wasn't for people around me helping me out, I probably could be dead by now, and that is plain and simple. But because of the strong people that I find in my passages in my life, being in Aotearoa, being part of Emerge, at this time, it's probably the best thing I've ever done for myself, because I know if I had done it all by myself and didn't have the right receptions, I wouldn't be here. So thank you, Sarah.
Oh, you're welcome, Andre. Also, it's a really important part to Andre is his whānau. Andre has just recently reconnected to his whānau after how many years?
20 years.
After 20 years. And I'd like Andre to share that experience, please.
Yeah, I'd love to. Where do I start? Mum and Dad are very helpful. They're upper class family. Mum and Dad's always worked. And personally, I find it a good thing, because I'm a Pākehā Māori, come from a half-caste family, and that's been mostly German and Māori. My grandparents were very Māori, either way with my grandmother as well. And in that, after all these years, they still support me because of the changes and things I did to make today work. And that was mainly through learning about making good decisions, making the right decisions, and making sure I do make decisions. There was a lot of it through mum and dad being there for me, not giving up the faith. And then I had a daughter. She had 6 grandchildren. Now I'm a happy grandfather. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm really pleased that Andre came into our lives because he taught us how we needed to provide good care for him, and we found that using the model of Te Whare Tapawhā is a very good model to use. And I need to re-emphasise, Andre has been on the Act for 30 years, and this year he's been very successful in actually coming off the Act, and that's due to a lot of work by Andre and all the supports around him. His whānau is very much an important factor to him. He loves his mum and dad really highly, as like we all do. But as Te Whare Tapa says, if all 4 walls are well cared for and well balanced, we have a well balanced life.
True.
So Andre, I do want to say thank you very much for sharing your time and your journey with us.
You're welcome.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Again, I'd like to thank Andre for his participation. Okay, now we go into the next part of the presentation. I will take you to the Te Whare Tapawhā presentation that we use here, and we've moved the taha around to meet the needs of whaiora that come to Port Crescent. Okay. All right, let's start at the beginning. Okay, Te Whare Tapawhā from Port Crescent point of view is whānau wellness in Kirikiriroa. We first start off, when our whaiora come into Port Crescent, we think about their body and how much strength they have. So taha tinana is the first process we look at. We make sure that they get the nutrients and the quality of food that they need to build strength and build their body up so they can start their journey to well-being. We then look at taha hinenaro. Taha hinenaro is about their decision making, their thinking, where they're at, what space they're in, and we work intensely in this area to ensure that they work positively, and also if there is any conflict or resolutions that we support them in that. We then look at taha wairua, which is a really important factor, and you heard Andre today. Taha wairua is a very important factor or value system to him, and most of our whaiora think about taha wairua. So as you can see, we've done the first 3 taha, which is taha tinana, taha hinenaro, taha wairua, before we go to taha whānau. People will ask us, why do we leave taha whānau last? Well, in our view, it's quite simple. Our whaiora have gone through a journey, and when they come to us, they need rebuilding. And a lot of our whānaus want to make sure that they have their body looking good, they're thinking in a good space, and with that, their wairua is sitting balanced before they start working with their whānau. Because in many cases, a lot of our whaiora have burnt their bridges with whānau. So they have to show themselves in the best possible wellness to support them going across to meet their whānau. So let's start. Taha tinana. Whaiora focus on their physical well-being. It is about how your body grows, feels and moves, and how you care for it. Whaiora at Paul Crescent learned the importance of nourishing, fueling your body so your body becomes strong and your body receives the nutrients required to function and have good physical health. And as you can see, we want them looking like the warriors that they are. And look at this warrior in the picture. He's leaping and bounding and practicing his taiaha. Taha hinenaro. This is where whaiora learn about keeping their hinenaro well. Whaiora work on keeping in mind heart-conscious thoughts and feelings. It's about how you feel as well as how you communicate and think. Then we do taha wairua. Whaiora with spiritual well-being, leading back to well-being, wairua is what gives you meaning. Whether it is about a religious faith or a spiritual connection to the universe and to ancestors. And hence why this photo of this beautiful wahine was chosen for taha wairua. She looks so imbalanced and so balanced, and she looks so strong and confident. Taha whānau. Whānau is important to whaiora at Paul Crescent. However, we have discovered that whānau is also about extended relationships. It's not just your immediate relatives, it's your friends and the people who care about you. Whaiora at Paul Crescent, their whānau is about who makes them feel like you belong, who care about you and who you share your life with. So to end this presentation, I think it's only fitting that we share this poem with you. It is called the Te Whare Tapawhā poem.
It takes 4 walls to build a house, to make that house stand tall. Each wall a facet of your life, uniquely wonderful. The first wall is your spirit, that part that makes you you. Be kind and loving to yourself, remember what is true. Your body is the second wall, the part that others see. Eat healthy food, don't smoke or drink. When sick, see your GP. Your brilliant mind and all that's in it makes wall number 3. So cultivate an optimistic personality. The last wall is your loved ones, your meaning deep within. Protect them, love them, nurture them, as all men are your kin. These walls require maintenance, but when the 4 are strong, you can withstand the storms of life.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that poem, and I hope you have learnt and seen some insight of Te Whare Tapawhā and how it can be utilised to provide good care and direction for our staff and also for whaiora and whānau. Te Whare Tapawhā is not just only used in mental health or healthcare services. Our education departments also use this, the Te Whare Tapawhā framework to support students. Before I go, I want to say thank you very much again to Andre for sharing his journey, a piece of his journey with us. And I also would like to thank my staff for providing all that good care. But I also would like to say to everyone out there, please be well, stay strong, especially through COVID. And if you need any help, please just contact any of our mental health services or ring 1737 or text if you need to talk to someone. COVID can become very isolating for whānau, so please ring 1737 or text. Thank you. Ka kite anō.
my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away.
Ora, tātou, ko ngā toki mata whaora tuku waka, ko kāu te whetu tuku maunga, ko ngā pohi tuku iwi, ko ngā te korokoro tuku hapu, ko whakamahāratanga tuku marae, ko Chaz Naira tuku ingoa, tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Chaz, I work for Pathways in Real, and just wanted to throw some whakaaro into the mix of this kaupapa of the Mental Health Awareness Week, and particularly wanted to, of course, mihi to the whānau of Pathways that have been working behind the scenes to drive this kaupapa, the intrusion of korona, making it digital, of course, being extra hard work. Just reira te mihi kia koutou for your efforts in pulling this together for our community. I really just thought I would bring a Māori focus on mental health awareness. And of course, we've got the theme Mā te kōrero, ka ora, take time to kōrero. It's good for our well-being. So one of the kōrero that I think we need to keep having is around the hauora of our people, our Māori and our Pasifika whānau especially. Yeah, we're all familiar with Tā Mason Jury's work on te whare tapawhā, our taha wairua, to sum that up in an English word, spirituality, our taha whānau, our connections and relationships, our taha hinengaro, our emotional well-being, and also our taha tinana, how we look after our bodies, our physical well-being. And I'm not an expert in this, but many of you will be aware that we've now had the addition of whenua to that model. So we've got taha whenua. And certainly you can see in the mainstream media the importance of whenua to Māori around the awa, around the kauri and the ngahere, around the giving land back to Māori over the decades. I mean, certainly in how we see ourselves, our tuakiritanga. We mihi to the maunga, we mihi to the awa, we mihi to the moana. When we're talking about who we are, because the land, the whenua, is in our whakapapa. It's where we come from, that's where we're going. It's where our tupuna are connected to. And the whenua will be around after me in future generations. So taha whenua is very much within a Māori whakaaro. And I guess the wero is to bring hauora Māori back to the front of our minds when it comes to supporting our people and working with our people. And also, what does that mean for myself? How do we apply that thinking in our own hauora and what we do to look after ourselves? So just wanted to bring that to the front and add that into the mix of what's going on. And certainly, that model of te whare taparima is to support our non-Māori practitioners, our tangata tiriti, our tauiwi whānau that are working with Māori to help understand the importance of those areas for Māori, because mainstream settings don't usually accommodate for it. So that's something to think about, and I would specifically say, what does taha wairua look like for us? Often that, because it's not as easy to box, it's a bit of a, what does that mean for us? And I think, one of the easiest way I can describe wairua in one way is through waiata. And while I think mā te kōrero ka ora, I also think mā te waiata ka ora. There's healing when we sing. So I've got a waiata to finish off this kōrero. I'm also not a massive singer. This waiata, though, I think is really fitting for this week around how we can soar, how we can aim for the highest point. Because when we get to the highest point, we can rest because we know that we've made it. That we want to fly up, that we want to fly straight true and soar. Yeah, so I think that's really cool when thinking about our hauora journey.
fearless in a mess. You change your hair and the way you like your dress. Won't you come on over? Stop making a fool out of me. Why don't you come on over, Valerie? Your house on up for sale. Did you get a good lawyer? I hope you